Hi there, I'm going to talk you through your Lino Cut Kit from Bristol Print Collective. And so inside the box you'll have tracing paper, lino cutters, your roller and ink. And what you'll need is a wooden spoon, a pencil, a Sharpie or a biro and some paper to print on. You can also use a metal spoon as well. So drawing your image, you want to start by getting a piece of paper, sketching out a design. You can also trace something if you're not sure what to do, using just pencil on paper, any plain paper. Keep your design quite simple, not too detailed, because lino cutting is all about kind of bold designs. So once you've got your pencil sketch, you want to use tracing paper to copy it. In pencil, it's important you trace it in pencil, and then once you've traced that, you can flip it over onto your lino and then use your pencil to rub the back of that, so then it will transfer onto your lino. It's a little bit of magic. I really like that. So as you can see, my design is quite small, so I'm cutting it, but you could use a much bigger design. But as your first lino, you might want to just keep it small as a test. So the next thing you want to do is use biro to trace over the lines that have transferred from the pencil. So the biro just is really good because it stands out. You can also use a Sharpie at this point as well if you don't have a biro. And then I've cross-hatched the areas that I want to keep white. So the areas you keep white are the areas you cut out. And just at this point, using the biro, you can go over your design and make it a little bit more bold. Figure out what areas you want the ink to sit on, what areas you want the white areas. So the next thing is to get your lino cutter, and you can twist the top where the metal end is to slot in the lino cutters. And there are varying widths and depths, so they you can see that when you're cutting, you don't actually need to go that deep, and you can change the blades and see how differently they act. So some will be a lot thinner, some will be thicker and will naturally go a bit deeper. So just do some straight lines, do some zigzags, try out doing some curved lines. You can see the way I'm bending the lino as the lino cutter is inside the lino, and this is all done on the test piece, so just make sure you're using that so you can just try out the different ways of cutting. Try out circles, which you would do by turning the lino. Cutting the lino, you want to start with cutting the outside of your image, so the outline. You can use a thin lino cutter for that. And you can see you don't have to do it all in one swish movement. I've obviously speeded up this video as well, but you can do it in little segments, and you just brush off the lino that you've cut into to kind of wipe away those peelings as you go. And then you just start just kind of going into the more detail of your design, and change the blades when it's better suited. So if it's really small sections, you want to use the thinner lino cutter, and if it's the wider sections, like around the edge, when you're cutting away lots, you want to change the blade and go for a wider setting. And you can try just kind of creating dashes, just sort of lifting the lino cutter off the blade. That might help you to create dots or circles as well. And then, so everything you're cutting away won't pick up ink, but you might find in some lino prints that you'll see the edges of where it's been cut away, and that can be quite aesthetically pleasing, so you might leave some. So when you're inking up, you want to squeeze a blob of the ink onto the board. You can spread it out with a knife. It's not necessary, but it can help just loosen up the ink. Then you want to roll the roller into the ink, spread it up and down, and also left and right, so you can make a nice even spread on the board. And so make sure it's not too thick, don't put too much ink out. You'll soon realise once you're rolling it onto the lino, you don't want it to be too thick. So you just kind of lightly, not too much pressure, just roll the ink over the lino, and everywhere that you've left that you haven't cut away will then receive the ink, and it'll be sitting on top of those that design that you've made. So you want to carefully place paper on top. You've also got paper underneath the lino, so it's like a clean edge. And then you use the wooden spoon at this stage. So this is instead of a press, and you apply a gentle pressure and go in a circular motion to get all of the edges, so the top, bottom, corners and the centre. When you peel off the paper, you might notice some areas you may have missed if it's your first attempt, and you'll soon get used to finding out the best way to cover it. So you pull back the paper and you've revealed your print, and you can see that it's reversed the image as well. So this is a fun bit. Now you can repeat the process, layering the ink on, adding another piece of paper, so you have your second print, and just keep going with the printing. You can create cards, you could create gift tags, and just see where you go with your prints. Maybe even wallpapers or wrapping paper. So when you're ready to clean up, which is also really important, you need to scrape off the ink from the board, any excess. You can use newspaper to just roll out the printing roller, any excess ink on that. Just helps so you don't have that all going down the sink. So just run it a few times on a bit of scrap paper. And then the ink I've provided you is water-based. So you wash it in hot soapy water to get the ink off. Some of the ink is quite strong colour, so there may be some stains left on the board, and if you want to get those out, you can use a cream cleaner, which is like sieve, you get from the supermarkets, and I've just used that to clean it away. The more printing you do, the more stains you might end up having on your clipboard, and it might not matter so much. So at the end, you want to pack away everything, make sure it's all clean, ready to go back in the box, and ready for another day of printing. So enjoy. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your printing.